Well, it's so wonderful to see you all. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's great to be here together to celebrate joy. And I was studying some texts for Purim over the last day or two, and I was just reminded again that really at the core, I mean, there's so much depth and complexity to the holiday of Purim, so much more than Hamantaschen, which are fabulous. But at its core, it's about being joyful and really letting ourselves go a little bit. And I feel like, and it's not a coincidence that Purim lands at the end of, hopefully the end of winter, as we're just beginning to sense that spring is around the corner. So I just want to share, be grateful that we can share in a little bit of that joy together tonight, and hopefully allow that to build as we move through the week towards Purim. There we go. Hi, Sarah. Now I can see your beautiful face. I'm so glad you're here. So we have a real treat tonight because Jenny Spiliopoulos and Anya Gordon are both here to share with us their tips and tricks on Hamantaschen baking. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny. Jenny's going to do her demo first, then we'll transition to Anya, and there will be time to ask questions and schmooze with all, as in all good cooking shows. So Jenny, the floor is yours.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm going to be making the Buckeye Hamantaschen. So I made this recipe 2 years ago for my son's fraternity. When I sent him like this huge care package, I sent like a few others, and this happened to be the biggest hit. So I figured, let me go ahead and do that for tonight. So it's definitely not one of your traditional Hamantaschens. So it's with peanut butter, and the dough is chocolate. So it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but in the shape of Hamantaschen. So the recipe is actually, so I love Busy in Brooklyn. So that's the blog, and she's on Instagram, and that's where I got this recipe from. And so I fooled around with it a little bit, and I think the recipe is in the comments section, right? Awesome. So I'm gonna follow it, but I have to put on my reading glasses. So I did, so the recipe calls for 3/4 cups of peanut butter. So I actually put the peanut butter in here already. Yeah. So, and what I found with this recipe in particular is that I had to fool around a little bit with the contents of the amount of powdered sugar that goes in it. So, but we'll handle that in a minute. So it calls for 1 tablespoon of.
Doesn't have flour.
Oh. No flour. No flour. So 1 tablespoon of honey goes right in to the peanut butter. And let me just rinse my finger off.
I think you somehow got muted.
I don't know how that happened.
There, okay. I don't know. Great. Sorry. Okay, thanks for telling me.
Okay.
And then some vanilla, and all the exact measurements are, I feel like I'm on a cooking show, right? Because I have everything kind of prepped and everything. And some kosher salt.
Okay, Jenny, while you're doing that, I just have to point out that this recipe is gluten-free, and you could make it vegan, dairy-free.
Yes.
How great is that?
Yes. Yeah, so it's nice. So I'm going to use dairy chocolate chips, but you can use non-dairy chocolate chips. I don't like using margarine, like parve margarine, but you can use parve margarine in the recipe, and then that'll also make it dairy-free. So just going to cut up my butter.
Ginny, can I ask, do you not
Yep.
like using margarine because of the flavor, or is there another, like I personally, I do it all the time, but I prefer butter. So I'm asking why you don't like using margarine.
I don't like the flavor of margarine. So that's about it, really.
I'm fast, Cindy. I wasn't sure if it was a trans fat issue or the taste.
Yeah, it's also kind of a little bit has to do with
No,
that.
there's no health here. I promise you that. There's nothing doing on that front.
Yeah, so I mean, not that this recipe is healthy by any means.
I didn't know if it was
necessary.
like a performance issue, like maybe it didn't stay together well or something like that.
No, no. In fact, the recipe is, so the author of the recipe, she actually uses it. It's a parve recipe. I just make it dairy. So it's probably going to be a little noisy, just kind of whisking together the peanut butter, the honey, the salt, the vanilla, and the butter. So it's definitely very rich. So it just takes a couple of minutes for that to kind of come together. Has everybody been making their Hamantaschens already? No?
My children are deprived. They keep asking. No good.
So this is kind of what it looks like before you put in the powdered sugar. So you definitely want to use powdered sugar. So I think it's, what is it? It's a 1 1/4 cups, which I already measured out into here. But I'm not going to put it all in because when I tested it before, it was a little bit too dry. So I'm going to kind of leave a little bit out, and then I'll see how that goes. And then, oh, sorry, I don't know.
So Jeannie, I have another question.
Yeah.
So the natural peanut butter, like, is that for a reason that it's natural?
That's the way she told the recipe, but I use Walmart peanut butter. So,
Well, I'm obviously not going to use any peanut butter, so that's why I'm asking. Like, if I try to sub it.
oh yeah. So so it's funny because I was actually in my pantry earlier, which I'm going in right now, which is why you can't see me for a second. And I was thinking I'm gonna try it with almond butter. I don't know if if like you have an allergy to nuts full in general, or
Yeah, we run the
is it
gamut
just-
here. I'm going to use like a nut butter. I am going to try this. This looks good.
yeah. So I'm just gonna brush down I'm just gonna kind of mush down the edges. So, and then so that you could kind of, yeah. I'm gonna put maybe a little bit more. You want it to be able to hold together. And the recipe doesn't call for refrigerating it before you kind of mold it and dip it. So it definitely should be, firm enough that you can handle it and put it in, dip it in the chocolate. So I'm gonna put a little bit more of the powdered sugar. Put that in there. Yeah, I think that's good. So I would say I probably have maybe a little less than 1/4 cup left of the powdered sugar. So maybe you want to start by just putting in 1 cup of powdered sugar and then add the rest if you need it. And this is kind of the consistency. And can you see, like, when I'm pushing? I'll show you though. And then what I also did, I made like I think I said I made like a test of it before. And I put it in the refrigerator to see if that would like do anything or make it any better. But like I could kind of, well, it's still a little sticky. Actually, I'm going to put in some more. So it shouldn't be sticky. I'm going to put in some more of the powdered sugar. That's funny because literally I just made it before. So it's not like it's more humid or less humid. And before the 1.25 cups was too much powdered sugar, and now it looks like it's the right amount. Maybe not even. Let me see.
Sometimes it depends on the weather.
Yeah, no, but like I literally made it like just before we started, like when I came home from work. I was gonna test it out. I was supposed to test it out yesterday, but I didn't get a chance. But let me just get some more powdered sugar, just so that this way. Oh.
Cindy, do you swap out sun butter for peanut butter in baking and it works just fine?
It does. Sometimes the I forget if it's baking soda or baking powder, but it reacts with the sun nut butter and it turns the centers green, and that's a little disconcerting sometimes. Like until you've seen it a few times, there's a little
Yeah. Then
but
once you know, okay.
I made peanut butter blossoms over the holidays, and they were fabulous with sun nut butter.
That's good to know. Okay.
And there's also soy nut butter, so like wow butter, which my family doesn't like, so we only get sun nut butter.
Got it.
So I'm kind of adding a little bit more at a time, just till I get like I don't want it to be sticky, but I don't want it to kind of fall apart when I'm squeezing it together either. Here, I could kind of show you a little bit.
That's good, Jenny.
That's
you can
good.
really see it.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's pretty good. Yeah, this is really nice. So, you know, the magic of television. Ta-da! And then I even made one into a shape. Okay, so I'm gonna melt the butter. So I know it says to do it like in a double boiler, but I don't have a double boiler. I just kind of put it in the microwave and I stir it a little bit. So it calls for like 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. I've put butter in the past when I'm melting the chocolate chips. So that's about 2 tablespoons. See, I'm a better cook than I am a baker because I hate measuring. And then I'll put it in at about 30 seconds at a time. So can I show you something else that I made while that's happening? Let me take my little thing over here. So this is actually a caramel apple filling that I made for Hamantaschen. So I did that like before I did this. And with dulce de leche, and I shredded some apples, and I put it in like this rice, sugar and water mixture, and I cooked it down until all the water kind of evaporated, and then I added some dulce de leche that I made like last week, and I think that is gonna be the best.
I must have the same recipe. I make that filling and it's everybody's favorite. It's the best ever.
Oh, is it? This is the first time I made it.
Oh, it's so good. You're going to love it. And we're obsessed with dulce de leche in this family too. So that was an instant draw.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited to make it. So yeah, and then I made some dough. It's kind of chilling in my fridge. So I kind of got my recipes from like all over the place, like from Tori Ivy and Busy in Brooklyn. So, oh, this looks good. All right. So it
Do you have
says,
a recipe? Do you have a recipe for that filling with the apple?
so yeah, you know, I could send it over, and yeah, I can send you the link. It's I mean, I have it right here at my like little recipe things. Hamantaschen. Oh, here, caramel apple filling. Who's this by? I have to see. Oh, here are my glasses.
Is it the Tori Avey?
Is it? And probably is, because it doesn't say it on here, but it probably is. This is like how hers like kind of print up. But it's literally, it's what in it? It's about 4 apples, 3/4 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of dulce de leche, and salt to taste.
That's it.
Yeah, it is the
You-
Tori Avey one.
Do you
Yeah.
also like her dough?
I made it for the first time, so I don't know. I feel like I could never remember which dough I made the year before, and which is a problem.
Because they
So,
do vary, and some are
yes.
better than others.
I just made something.
Yes.
It was horrible.
Oh no, was it her dough or?
No. I forget where I got it, and it was the worst. So
Oh.
Not really. They were.
we ate them. I mean, it didn't stop us, but they were terrible.
So let me tell you something. I used milk chocolate chips, and I used a cup worth, which I thought would be about 8 ounces, and I put in 2 tablespoons, roughly, of the coconut oil. And I have to say, I feel like it was too much coconut oil for, like, the ratio was maybe a little off. Like, this is a little bit too liquidy. Like, so, and it's probably going to be much harder to set. So, you know, maybe a little less. I don't know. Let's see.
You can always add more chocolate in.
Yeah, I don't want this to get like burnt though. So I'll probably, maybe I can add like to this. But
That's a good philosophy on life, Vivian. Just add a little chocolate.
That's why we look like we do.
Actually, the
Live
fact
by
that
that.
you persevered through the terrible recipe reminded me of my own family. I love that determination.
Those didn't have chocolate. They would have been better.
I'm telling you.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think it's melting the, yeah, it's definitely better. I don't know how well this will set. I'll probably have to put it in the freezer. I don't know if it calls for putting it in the freezer. So this was actually kind of funny because, as some of you know, when you have kids that go off to college, they don't always pick up their packages, you know, unless you say it's food and you have to go and pick up the package. So the Hamantaschens were actually sitting like in the mailroom for like 2 days. And even though most of the chocolate melted on this, it was still demolished. So, all right, I think that is good. So let me get my little parchment lined sheets.
Everyone, Ginny put in the chat the recipe for the caramel dulce de leche Hamantaschen, just so you know. So thanks, Jenny. And thanks, Jenny.
Yeah. I'm excited to try it. So in the Hamantaschen.
And sugar.
Okay. So anyway, so I just scooped, you know, like maybe a tablespoonful, And then you roll it into a little ball. And then just want to shape it into a triangle. Right? And then there you go. So we'll do that. And then it says to take a fork. I don't know if I want to use a fork. Maybe I'll just kind of dip it in with the fork. I don't want to. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Another.
These, you think?
Can you see what I'm? Yeah, I think so. There you go. And then put some more. So the first couple are not always the prettiest. They're the ones that get eaten by the family. And then as you keep going, they get prettier. So, and then it says to put a little honey roasted peanut. I couldn't find honey roasted peanuts. I bought these coconut peanuts. I don't recommend them. They're not very good, but just for aesthetics, I'll just put it in. And ta-da. I don't know.
Yay.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. I mean, I can make some more kind of.
And so Jenny, now you
Yeah.
refrigerate, no baking.
No baking. No, I'll just put it in the freezer. I think I'll put these in the freezer. So,
Great.
yeah, and I think because the chocolate is so thin, I'll probably use less or maybe thin out. See, my other ones, they're a little bit thicker, but I think I'll thin these out so this way it has more chocolate like coating on it as I'm putting it in.
Amazing, Jenny.
Yeah.
Those look and sound so yummy. Does anyone have any other questions for Jenny? Okay. Anya, we're passing the torch. Thanks, Jen.
Okay, thank you.
Am I mute?
Now you're muted. Try again.
Now I'm okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Well, I want to give kudos to Ginny for, let me see what's happened here. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, kudos to Ginny for making your special Hamantaschen almost from scratch. As you can see, I'm a bubby, so I'm making the Hamantaschen that you might have grown up with, which is the poppy seed one and the prune nut one and the old-fashioned pastry. And of course, all that takes hours. So how was I going to do that in 20 minutes? But you know what? I guess Hashem must have led the way, because I figured out that what I was going to do is I made it yesterday and today, and I took pictures, and I'm going to do the last stage of putting it together in person. But now I have to line this up. Okay, can you see my laptop there?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. No, I have to make it higher. Can you see it very well?
That's good.
Here, that's good. I'm bringing it closer.
Good.
How's that?
Good. Perfect.
Okay, so I bought the poppy seeds. That's always a big challenge. When we had the restaurant, my husband and I used to run the Irregardless Cafe, which we sold a year and a half ago. We could get poppy seeds really easily, wholesale. But where do you get poppy seeds anymore, right? But nuts.com, they'll get it to you in a day. So that's where I got it. Now the recipe I'm starting with the poppy seed filling. You have to blend them because the poppy seeds on their own. Are you following all this?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The poppy seeds on their own are just too hard, so you have to blend them. So I have a Vitamixer, and I'm showing them in the Vitamixer here. Oops, the wrong way. And then you have to make, according to the recipe that's attached, you weigh out some sugar, the recipe amount, and put it in water, a very small amount of water, and dissolve the sugar. So that's what I've done here in this pot. And then there's all the other things that go in. Like, this is one of those recipes that takes forever to just make all the different steps, and then you put it together. So it's got grated lemons and lemon juice, and it's got grated orange and orange juice. So there they are. I put it all together. This recipe also calls, this is Joan Nathanson. So I'm not got any of these newfangled recipes. Joan Nathanson's one of those old classics. And I love her recipes from Jewish holidays, I think it's called. So it calls for some figs and some raisins that I put in. I have a meat grinder attached to the front of my KitchenAid mixer. And so I ground them. So that's the KitchenAid mixer. And then I also put in some raisins. So that's the raisins. And there they are coming out. I also put in some mango just to give us some dried mango. So there it is all coming out. And I put the poppy seeds in with the sugar on the pot. And then I added all the dried fruit. And I mixed it all together. I added the grated orange and lemon zest and when I never use orange juice, I always just eat the oranges. I use some canned or some frozen orange concentrate. It always gives it more of an orange flavor. And there I am mixing it all together. And so it's all mixed together. And the last, it calls for 2 egg whites also. So one of my sons is vegan. And I make this, when I make this for him, I don't use butter. But the recipe, the recipe calls for butter. So I use butter in this recipe because I've already made the vegan Hamantaschen and mailed them to him last week. So there it is, and the butter's melting in. Oh, and this is my grandson got mixed in. So that's the end of the poppy seed. The poppy seed recipe. Now I'm going to make the fruit nut one. So having this meat grinder attached to my KitchenAid makes it all possible. So it also calls for a lot of lemon zest, and then I weighed out the prunes and I weighed out the raisins, and there it is coming out. It's not meat, it's ground up prunes and raisins, and I put in a little bit of apricot this year, dried apricots, and then it has some walnuts in it, and then I'm pushing it all through. Oops.
Basically, charoset.
Yeah, sort of. Let's see what happened here. Oh, I've gone too far here. So there it is, all mixed together. It's got sugar, lemon juice in it, and I really love these. They're both great. My kids love them, the poppy seed ones. So it's all mixed together. So I made all the fillings in advance, of course. And now this is the last step, making the dough. And I'm going to go downstairs in a minute to my kitchen. And I made 6 dozen Hamantaschen this afternoon. And now, Jenny, I'm going to make some gluten-free Hamantaschen by using gluten-free flour. So that's what I'm going to make. But this is me making the Hamantaschen dough. And I find that, Ginny, you said you're refrigerating your dough for those apple Hamantaschen. When this dough has to be made and used right away, otherwise it gets stiff and it doesn't hold together. So this is the dough for the Hamantaschen. It's all the different ingredients that are on the list. And this is me making them. So what I do is I roll it out, and I'll go back, you'll see some of these pictures, and then I use a glass. See, I use a glass to make the circles, and then I pick out the dough in between the circles. And then I have this cute little tool to get underneath them. Oops. And I pinch them together and make the Hamantaschen.
Beautiful.
And then I put them on the pan and I put some
Yeah, like little
egg on it. Now here's the next batch. So here you can see that I make the circle, and then I pull out the bits in between the circle, and then I lay out the fillings. Okay, so now I'm going to go downstairs. You can see my face again. Hi. And I'm going to make some new dough, gluten-free dough, because Arthur's son is gluten intolerant, gluten-free. So I'm going to mail them to them tomorrow. And Arthur's going to come and hold the camera here for me.
I love it.
Yes.
You need it. Everybody deserves a cameraman.
A cameraman. Okay. Arthur. Here's my husband, Arthur. Hi.
Hi, Arthur.
Hi, gals.
There's Rabbi
So
Jenny.
glad you're here.
See,
Thank
Rabbi
you for
Jenny's
joining us.
Oh, well, you know, there's nothing greater than being in the presence of angels.
Oh, I thought we were going to say there's nothing better than smelling Hamantaschen baking in the oven.
Well, here, I'll show you. These are the 6 dozen that I made today. Can you see them?
Gorgeous. Yes. Anya, I noticed that you really kind of covered over the filling. Do you have any thoughts about like leaving more exposed, or is that just stylistic?
Oh, I guess that's just the way I learned it.
Great.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, most of mine are closed in, yeah.
This shit.
Kind of exciting, like what's inside, you know?
I guess so. Well, there are clues.
Okay.
You can tell it. So here's my 2 fillings already made. Arthur's going to be the cameraman, but you have to see, yeah. So this is the poppy seed one. So you can see I've already made 6 dozen, but I'll be making another 6 dozen tomorrow. Here they are. This is the nut prune one, and this is the poppy seed one. Okay, so Arthur, bring it over here. Thank you. I've already mixed the eggs and the oil and the sugar, and I'm just going to add the gluten-free flour that I have here. Because my experience is if I pre-made the dough, it may not have worked, so I have to just make it at the last minute.
Yeah. Anya, are you using like King Arthur's or Cup for Cup or something like that?
Yeah, I've got, yeah, it's King Arthur's, that's right. King Arthur. I'm just substituting it. It's nothing more than that, yeah. Okay, so here we go. And it's a little sticky, so just like Jenny, I'm gonna have to alter it a little bit. I'll get it all out. Yeah, Arthur, you've got to also look at it and see if you're catching what you're pointing at. Yeah.
Can't see.
You can't see. Okay, but you're doing a pretty good job. Maybe lift it up a little.
You can see. You're doing great.
Okay, he's doing good. Okay. So last week I made vegan dough because one of my sons is a vegan and he's a strict vegan. So I had to use flaxseed instead of the egg. So we got lots of different dietary needs in our family, gluten-free, vegan. And then there's just the regular ones. We're vegetarian, but there's no meat in any of this, so we're okay. Okay, so there I put flour on the board. Yep. And I'm just going to take half of this and I'm going to roll it out.
Anya, that looks so beautiful. Like it's behaving very well. Sometimes the gluten-free dough doesn't behave properly. Are there any other secrets you're not telling us, or that's you really just swapped out the flour?
Yeah, I just swapped out the flour. I didn't do anything else. Yeah.
Mom, doesn't it look like it's behaving very well?
Yes. Is this the recipe from A Treasure for My Daughter? Is this that?
That's right. That's right. That's a cookbook I got when I was a young woman. from a Reformed synagogue. I got it then. Okay, where's my glass? Here's the glass. Okay. So what I do, it's about 1/4 inch thick here. I roll it out.
Do you use the same glass every year? Is this the designated Hamantaschen glass?
Exactly. I used to have another one that broke, but fortunately, this one is much more resilient.
It's a pint beer glass.
Yeah.
Good question, Jenny.
So here I'm just making the shapes, and then I just find it's easier. I don't know what I did with the knife. I'll get another knife here. I just find it's easier to manipulate if I take the dough out in between the circles. And so I'll make a poppy seed one here. I'll put this here too. So I'm not making all 6 dozen in front of you. No need to do that, but can you see?
Yeah, great.
So it's about a tablespoon. And then because it's just fresh, it's going to be a little sticky. So I'm making sure I got some flour on this little blade. And I get underneath it, and then I measure it so that it's, what kind of triangle is that? When the 3 sides are equal, and then I just squash it together. Equilateral, that's it. You can see, this recipe calls for some orange rind, and it really, I think, makes it a nice recipe. And then I'm gonna put it on here on the pan and brush some egg on it, and that's it. Bake it for about ½ an hour.
Wow.
So, though that's my Bubby's Hamantaschen.
Amazing, Anya. Oh my gosh, that looks incredible.
So when I say goodbye to you, I'm going to make all these gluten-free ones, and tomorrow bring them to.
I'll be right
Yes.
over.
You'll be right over. But to close out, I wanted to. Arthur and I are moving as we've retired. We're moving into the puppet theater business, and we've just completed our Purim puppets and our Purim stage, and we're going to, God willing, put together a little Zoom Purim spiel. Is that right, Arthur?
Right. So we want to show you the puppets.
Yeah, so we'll show you the puppets. Arthur's going to take, okay. You're
Oh my
seeing
gosh,
me
that's incredible.
here. Oh, let me turn on the light. So there, this is Vashti and
Lovely.
Haman, and this is Ahasuerus and Mordecai, and back here is Esther. Queen Esther.
Wow.
And there's our theater over there.
Oh
That's
my
amazing.
gosh. Full service Purim regalia. I love it. I love it.
Jenny, you started off by saying this is a holiday of joy where we let go, and I've been like a young woman making doll clothes for my puppets, so I feel like it's been a very joyous holiday for me.
And even after the Messiah comes, we're going to still celebrate Purim.
That's right. That's right. So Arthur's quoting a midrash. There are all kinds of things that we will no longer do, mitzvot, we will not follow. But the Talmud teaches that in the world to come, we will still celebrate Purim.
That's right. Even though God is never mentioned in the book at all,
In the Megillah.
but we all know the Megillah by heart.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh, Anya, thank you.
Delicious and merry and joyful Purim. And we are in the Hamantaschen business.
And there's no calories in Hamantaschen.
Of course not. Of course not. All right, this is amazing and great job, Arthur, in the wings. Does anybody have any questions for Anya? Oh, Anita.
Yeah, what kind of oil do you use in your recipe?
This time coconut oil. Sorry, I use corn oil. It calls for a vegetable oil. Sometimes I mix corn and peanut. Peanut oil is a bit lighter. I used to use canola oil. I don't know if I could tell you. I know the difference, but that's what I'm, I just heard from my kids that canola oil is supposedly not good for you. I mean, who can keep up, for heaven's sakes? Soybean oil, I stopped using. It's not supposed to be good. God knows why. But
What kind of egg wash do you use? Just the yolks mixed up and diluted, or just the
I
white?
actually do the whole thing, the egg white and the yolk. It lasts longer. But I think if I use just the yolk, it would probably be a cleaner, because when you use the whole thing, it drips on the side and it's a little messier. Yeah. But, obviously I do that. I do use just the yolk when I put on the challah, when I make a wash for the challah, when I make challah for Shabbos. Yeah. Hi there. Any other questions? No?
So great. Oh, that was really yummy to watch.
I gave you the quick view. I didn't want you to, to labor through while it was grinding and making a racket and then not stirring up and all that. I just didn't, it would have taken hours. I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
Yes. I like that you basically showed us though, and Jenny also, that you can do it in stages. Like it doesn't all have to be done at once, because clearly this is a big effort. And so you can sort of do the steps as you are able.
Right. Well, certainly those fillings, making that poppy seed filling, it can take 2 hours.
Yeah.
It takes a while. So I always do that the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I have any left over, I keep it in the fridge. It keeps very well.
I was thinking about that.
But I think I'm going to just make lots of Hamantaschen this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't ask my mom about the charoset balls that I've been keeping in the freezer for years now, and they're still good. I don't know what to tell you.
You can put them in your Hamantaschen. Put them in your Hamantaschen.
There we go. I could put them in the Hamantaschen. I'm getting ideas. I know my mom's on the floor now. Every year she comes back to the freezer and she says, "Enough already." Am I right, Mom? All right, fresh is better. Fresh is better.
Really don't hold more than 2 years.
2 years is my limit.
2 years.
All right, enough silliness. See, we're really getting into Purim spirit. Anya, that was so beautiful. Jenny, yum. I love that we had a very traditional recipe and then a gluten-free modification along with Jenny's can't take the Brooklyn out of Jenny with your creative nouveau Hamantaschen. They sound so yummy. Anyone else want to jump in? Questions or thoughts?
Oh, I want to tell you that I was watching Food TV, and Molly Ye, who is half Jewish and half Chinese, has a cooking show called Girl Meets Farm, and it was a whole show devoted to Purim.
Wow.
And I was so excited because when do you ever see that on national TV?
Amazing.
And she made Hamantaschen.
What else?
She made matzah with some eggs and spinach and cheese for the following day. She made short ribs with potato gnocchi. But she made the poppy seed filling and she put sprinkles on everything. So she sprinkled them with, everything's a party to Molly Ye, it's kind of fun. And I just thought I'd mention it because it was fun to see that we're getting a little attention.
Yes, seriously. Now we're sharing Purim.
And her husband, who is not Jewish, they live on the border of Wisconsin and Michigan or one of those northern states. And they're on a farm, and he said this is his favorite holiday in the year. And they had a grogger, and they were going. It was kind of funny. It was really funny.
That is funny. Oh, I love it.
I think you could probably search it and find it.
Yeah.
Oh, Cindy posted it.
Oh my gosh, look at that. You all are amazing. All right, well, hopefully you guys have been able to copy the recipes. If you want to follow up, if you have any other questions about recipes, you know where to find me or Anya or Jenny. Or
I'd
Julia.
be happy to.
We're here to help.
Yes, and I'll be giving it out to everybody because that's what we do with Hamantaschen is we give them away. Yes.
So sweet, so sweet.
Should have given mine
Wishing
away.
I missed that joke. Wishing everyone a Freilich Purim, a really joyful Purim. We got to dig deep to find the joy, people.
Yes.
And as I say to everything at this point, next year in the synagogue. And
Amen.
just sending lots of love all around. All right, folks. Enjoy.
Love to everyone. Love to everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, Jenny.
Chag Sameach.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It was funny.
Oh.